What's up, you guys, and welcome back to another video where today we're going to be going over President Biden's student loan forgiveness plan. We're going to be going over how you actually get your debt canceled, who's going to qualify for that, as well as how debt payments are going to work going forward, or how they at least potentially could change going forward. So stay tuned for the rest of the video, and I've got a little bit of a surprise for you guys at the end just because it has been quite a long time since I've made a video. I wanted to go ahead and make a little surprise for you guys. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop into the video. So to start off, who's going to qualify for debt forgiveness? This is actually a pretty simple solution here, or a simple answer, and that's going to be all federal student loans. Now, that being said, it is going to be capped at an income limit. So it's not going to be everyone, but all outstanding federal student loans would qualify so long as your income does not meet a certain threshold. And that threshold is going to be $125,000 for individuals, $250,000 for married couples. Now, when it comes to how much debt you're actually going to be forgiven, or at least how much you could be forgiven of, it's also going to come down to whether or not you were a recipient of the Pell Grant. So the Pell Grant is going to be a grant given to people who show an exceptional financial need, who also don't currently have any type of degree. And it might sound a little backwards, but Pell Grant recipients are actually going to be eligible for even more debt relief than someone who did not receive a Pell Grant. Me personally, I would think if you received one, then you already got some debt relief out of that, or at least a payment plan that's going to eventually end after a certain amount of time. I figured those people would be the ones who would get less, but it actually looks like those people are going to get more. So if you were a recipient of the Pell Grant, you would be eligible up to $20,000 if you make less than $125,000 individually, or $250,000 if you are married. And then if you are not a Pell Grant recipient, you're going to be eligible for up to $10,000 in debt relief if you make less than $125,000 individually, or $250,000 if you are married. So to highlight this, I would say $20,000 if you were a Pell Grant recipient and make less than $120,000 or $250,000, depending on your marital status, or $10,000 if you are not a Pell Grant recipient and make less than $125,000, or $250,000 if you are married. So it's actually a pretty simple plan as to who is going to get this debt relief and who is not. That being said, it also comes down to how do you actually claim this debt relief? How do you become eligible? Well, according to the Department of Education, they actually already have the financial information on about 8 million borrowers. So those 8 million are going to automatically be accepted. So it'll kind of work how the stimulus checks did, in the fact that it's going to be kind of automatic for a lot of people, but there will be a form/application coming out before the end of the year that's going to allow you to actually go ahead and file for that if you are not one of those 8 million people that they do have financial information on. And the reason it's coming out before the end of the year is because that's when interest and the actual payments are going to continue after the first of the year. Whereas right now they are suspended due to COVID and the recession and a lot of other things. Those actual payments are currently suspended, and before they resume, there should be an application for those remaining people to actually get their financial information in and see if they are eligible for any of this debt relief. Now, what happens if you currently still have debt, or you're going to have debt after this debt relief? How are payments going to work going forward? Biden has proposed a situation where instead of requiring payments of up to 10% of your income, he would actually drop that to 5%. So about half of the income that you would normally have to utilize on those student loans would have to be utilized on those going forward. He's also proposed people making less than 225% of the national poverty line having to make any payments at all. So right now, the national poverty line is about $13,900 for an individual with no family. And in addition to this, borrowers who have less than $12,000 in student loan debt could have their debt forgiven after 10 years instead of 20. So right now, if you have less than that, you can have your debt forgiven after 20 years worth of payments. Whereas in the future, he wants to change that to just 10 years. We'll see if all this happens. This is all hypothetical. But the actual debt forgiveness plan sounds like it is going to go through in terms of the $10,000 and $20,000 plans, depending on the person. So with that being said, that's going to be the end of the video. If you did find this video helpful at all, be sure to smash that like button. If you guys are new to the channel or interested in personal finance at all, be sure to smash that subscribe button. And with all that being said, let's go ahead and wrap this video up.